You're in the mix.
SKM presents Strictly for the Music Podcast. You are now live with the #1 podcast for all upcoming artists worldwide.
It's the real deal.
Strictly for the Music Podcast, a platform for all upcoming artists of all genres. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we got a special guest in the building. Indie pop artist based in Arizona that has opened up for artists such as Rusted Root and Rabid and performed at 100 plus venues in the Valley since 2009. He has an array of influences that range from artists like Death Cab For Cutie, The Beatles, Randy Newman to Laura Marling, Snow Patrol, and Joni Mitchell. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, my next guest, Gork.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
I appreciate you coming on the podcast and giving us this time, man. What I want to do with the interview, man, is I want to go through a little bit from the beginning, man. So if you don't mind, tell us how you got into music, man, and what influenced you.
Okay. Well, I got to give you a warning that I have a tendency to be long-winded in my answers. So I just let everybody know that, I'm a songwriter. That's how you know I'm wordy. You know what I mean? There's never enough words, but it's a question like that to me is a complicated one because there's so many factors, about how you answer that. But I would say, to be honest with you, I mean, I think that music was something that was kind of in my bones from a young age. So, when I was as young as, at least 6 or 7, I was writing jingles and melodies and little made up songs about anything that was going on. And then more so in, 3rd, 4th grade, I got into writing lyrics and poetry. So, honestly, I think from an early age, I as far as songwriting and music and melody goes, like it was always kind of theirs, almost as far back as I can remember. But it wasn't really until 8th and 9th grade that like instruments started to come into the picture. So I had a friend group where we all started learning guitar at the same time. So we started a band, and I think it was 8th grade, and I started on the bass, and I was the singer and the lyric writer. And then shortly after that, I started playing acoustic guitar around 15, 16. So, and then it just kept growing from there. So, yeah, I really, from 15, 16, I've been playing guitar, but I've been writing songs before that. So,
oh wow,
it's been, yeah,
man. So let me ask you this, man. I mean, being so young, man, and juggling to be the vocalist and then songwriter, and then you're playing bass, man. Was that overwhelming for you to be that young and to have so many goals you gotta be on point with, man?
Well, I think and honestly, no, because it was the opposite. It was more like there was no pressure. It was just for fun, like it was part of being young is just kind of living in the moment. And so I really didn't, have any pressure or anything like that. I think I think what was difficult at the time, in like junior high and stuff, being in a band is more so the 4 of us like getting on the same page. You know what I mean? I think that was more difficult at the time where, and we were good friends, but I think we all had our own different personality about what we liked and what we were into. And I was very like, focused on how I wanted to write lyrics and vocals. And if I wrote something that the other guys didn't like, it was frustrating because we were kids, but they couldn't articulate it in a way as to what they wanted it to be or how they wanted it to change.
Oh.
And so I think ever since then, I've kind of never really wanted to be in a band because I've seen that in other bands where like, it's hard to find somebody that makes you better, makes you sharper, right? Because it's easy to say, I don't like that. But when you're in a creative environment, you have to say, like, how do we make this better? And how do we get it to where it needs to be? And that requires, ideas, So I think that was the only problem. But like, as far as like, we never really were trying to be famous or anything. We were just doing it for fun and because we loved it. So in that way, it was more pure. It was just, it was for the sake of it itself, which is nice.
Right. All right, man. So what was it like growing up, man?
Whew. That's another tough question. So to be honest, I was raised in a very like strict religion.
Uh-huh.
And so it's kind of a weird upbringing because there was lots of things that we couldn't do, or it's a very controlled environment. So my upbringing for the most part wasn't that great. Family life wasn't that great, and so youth was a hard time for me. And so as I've gotten older, it's gotten a lot easier and a lot better because I've been able to live life on my own terms the way I want to. But growing up, yeah, it was a challenging time. Like I said, mostly because of the religion and having like a stepdad that was not a kind, good person, things like that. So yeah, it was complicated, So but in a way, it taught me a lot. I had to grow up in some ways pretty young. I could tell you a bunch of stories about bad things that happened to me, but it's not really worth it. You know what I mean? I'd rather focus.
Yeah. All right, man. So let me ask you this, bro. What makes you different from other pop artists of this new age right now?
Good question. I kind of have two answers to that because one is the first answer I would say is I'm not that different, because I would say to be an artist is a lot of different things. And so as far as, writing songs and expressing myself, there's thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are doing that same thing. Now we might have a different way of doing it, but we're all doing the same thing. So, anybody who's made it to a big level of success, whether I like their music or not, I always respect they had to have work ethic and they have to have something that people want to hear. So I'm not really going to try to like knock anybody else down, but I think for me, I wouldn't say this makes me absolutely unique, but I think some of the things that I aspire to, which I would like to see more of, is I try to like write songs that have like complex themes, like a person that is doing something that is maybe not a good thing, but maybe they have good reasons for doing it, or somebody that has a good intention but creates problems for themselves. And so I like to really live in that area of the gray, not the black and white. And so I think a lot of my music, people are going to interpret it however they want, but I find myself trying to add humor, but also trying to dig into the dark things of life in a way that is not heavy and not scary. So I think my intention is maybe a little bit different, because a lot of people, I think it's just about maybe they're writing relationship songs or songs about partying or things like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think there's a lot of people like me or that want to go deeper,
Right.
So that's one of my aspirations. But there's lots of great artists out there. So, I don't claim to be the best, but I just try to be authentic,
All right, man, definitely. So let me ask you this, man. What was one of the first songs you wrote?
I couldn't play or sing them for you, but there was a lot, there was a song I remember when I was like probably 17, 16, there's a song I wrote called Yet to Come. In the band before that, we had, I think, a song called The Void Within. And then I had a bunch of like songs I wrote in like fourth, fifth grade that I couldn't play on an instrument, but I had melodies and stuff for it. So I couldn't tell you what the first song I wrote was. And but there was a lot of them back then, So.
All right, Gork. All right, man. So let's go to Oh Yeah, Remember Her.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Just elaborate on it, man. Let us know what inspired you, what gave you the idea to, like, create the rhythm or to the lyrics too, man.
Yeah, that song. I was going through a. It's funny because I talked about breakups, and I'm about to talk about breakups, but um, it's powerful. It's life, so we can't escape it. But I was going through a tough time emotionally after this relationship didn't work out, and I wrote a bunch of songs, and the song is it's kind of dark in a way, and it's kind of uplifting. It's a little bit of both, because what I was thinking about, this is a couple of years ago. I was in my late 20s when I was going through this, but I was trying to think back about my early relationships when I was 16, and when I was in my early 20s, and I was thinking about these other breakups, and I realized that I had forgotten so many things. I had forgotten, you know, little songs that we had, little jokes that I had with those relationships. And so while I was going through this pain, I was trying to comfort myself. And I was thinking, I'm going to forget all of this anyways. Time is going to happen, and I'm going to forget about this pain. I'm going to forget about this relationship. And one day I'll look back and say, oh, yeah, I remember her, and it's kind of got a sarcastic parts in the song, but really it's rooted in this idea of not wanting to hurt anymore. And so it's looking forward to a time when you can't even remember it anymore.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's dope, man. All right, man. I don't know. I'm gonna try to say this word, man, but I'm not sure I'm gonna get it on point. But it's flirtatiously crude.
Flirtatiously, yeah.
All right, notice me, man. This is another acoustic original, man. So break it down, man.
Flirtatiously Crude. That's the name of that song. Yeah. And that one's actually a character song, so that's not about me in any way. And so the idea of that song is there's this guy who works in an office, and he's trying to get the attention of another girl in the office, and he's trying to strike up, a rapport with her. But she's always in the other side of the room. She's always talking to other people. He never seems to be able to find the opportunity. And and when he talks to her, she's kind of short or whatever, and so he can never really break through. And so the whole song is him trying to impress her and him trying to get her attention. But then what happens at the end of the song is mentally he decides, I'm done. I'm giving up on this. I'm not gonna worry about this anymore. And as soon as he does that, she starts to notice him. When he pulls away from her and stops giving her attention, that's when she starts to kind of become interested. And that's where the song ends. It kind of ends him falling back into that trap again, because now she noticed him. And so it's you can interpret it how you want, but to me, he's a desperate guy, and he doesn't realize how that desperation is hurting him.
All right, man. So we got a couple more songs. In Ivory Tower.
Ivory Tower. Okay. Well, this song it's actually a single, so you can find it on Spotify and Apple Music and a couple other places. Man, this one's tough. One's a tough one to talk about because I'm trying to think about how I want to say this. It's part of an album I haven't released yet.
Oh, you have an album not released?
I have an unreleased album. Yeah, I'm still in the process of getting artwork and other things done, and I've had a few setbacks. So it's been done for a while, but just I've had logistical things that I have been keeping me from getting it all complete. But it's part of an album. It's track 5 on an album, and I'm trying to think of how I want to say this, but it when I was making the album, I was putting a story together of this whole journey, but I've decided not to. It's kind of a concept album, but I've decided not to market the album explicitly as a concept album. So I'm okay with people interpreting these songs however they want to interpret it. But that song is really about a couple that falls in love with each other, but their bond is based on them having the same flaws.
Wow.
You know, they're both kind of greedy and arrogant, and they both kind of have some of the same character defects, and so that's kind of their source of that bond. And that's a theme that runs throughout the album in a few different ways. But that song is really an upbeat song, and it's more about them enjoying the ride, and the ride hasn't come to an end yet. So that's more them kind of falling in love. But while they're falling in love, they're also motivated by, selfishness too. So it's kind of the whole album deals with a toxic kind of relationship, toxic dynamic, and um, how toxic people interact with each other, and so it's a lot of it's dramatic, but I've also, like I said, I want people to, listen to it however they want and get what they want out of it too. So hopefully that made sense.
All right, man. Armageddon. We know you. We love you.
Armageddon. That's another one that's a single, and you can find that one on Spotify. So this one earlier I mentioned about how I grew up, and that the religion I grew up in was a big inspiration for that song. And so the song is not strictly autobiographical. It's not based on anything that specifically happened, but the idea of the song is that there's these elders in this congregation, and they're trying to recruit a young man back into the fold and back into the church. And so they're appealing to his ego, and they're saying, there's a place for you here. You could be a great speaker. People will look up to you, and we see your talent, and we know you. We love you. We've always known you. We watched you grow up. And so it's somebody that left this, if you want to call it a cult, left this cult, and they're trying to shepherd him back into the fold. And so the song is from their point of view, and them talking to this young guy and trying to say, hey, we want you back. They're trying to be inspirational, but for the young man, it's a negative thing. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, man. All right. So leading on to the next one, man, Woman of Tomorrow.
And I want to say one last thing about the last song.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry, I just remember this, but that song is funny to me because several people have reacted to that song and have said that it makes them feel inspired, and it gives them positive feelings.
Wow.
And I love that, because when I wrote the song, I wasn't thinking about it from a positive point of view. I was thinking about it from these congregation, older men in the church trying to get somebody back. So, but it makes sense because, if they're trying to give something of a positive message to him, so he'll, want to come back. And so that means if somebody feels something positive from it, that message is resonating. And so that's why I love art, and love storytelling and writing, because there have been lots of songs I've written where people have a completely different interpretation of what I'm thinking about.
Uh-huh.
But I don't want to change their interpretation either, because what I think is when people listen to a song, and if people listen to a song and they have their own story and meaning in their head, it's because whatever meaning they came up with is related to their life and whatever they've been through and whatever they're thinking about. So, I really, I like talking about my songs, but I also don't ever want to change somebody's mind about what it means to them, because that's going to be more powerful,
Wow.
So anyways, that was just that, but yeah, Woman of Tomorrow. Woman of Tomorrow it's another song on the album, and it is it's kind of a love song and a kind of an apology song. And so again, going back to the album, it's these two characters. They're both flawed and kind of selfish in their own different ways. And they love each other. And in this song, he's saying to her, I'm sorry if I made you feel lesser than, if I didn't put you first or whatever. You're still the one, that I want to be with. And then there's this bridge where he says, this is all for you, this sour brewed, surrealist mood. It's the only thing that's true. And in the bridge, he sang like, you and I have this darkness that binds us together, and nobody else will understand this. And Woman of Tomorrow is him saying like, it's not in the lyrics, but it's him saying, you're my future, So it's a love song. But it's coming from a place of somebody who's trying to make things right,
All right, man. All right, man. So we're gonna lead on to this was a live performance, and I'm not sure where the venue was at or anything, but don't pop too early.
Yeah, no, that was just a clip from a show I did earlier this year.
Oh, really?
And yeah. So Don't Pop Too Early is not the name of the song. But it's just in that clip. It's a joke. It's a joke I make. And so this, I'll play you this little chorus of it.
Let's go, man.
I'm not gonna play you the whole song, but I want to explain what that means though. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Just gotta make her weak, find that spot, hit it, go pop, pop, pop. Just gotta make her weak, find that spot, hit it, go pop, pop, pop. It goes pop, pop, pop. So that's part of the chorus, and so in that video, basically, I was teaching the audience the chorus, the pop, pop, pop part. And a young lady that was there, she got a little excited and she sang it before the line came.
Wow.
So she sang pop, pop, pop too early.
Uh-huh.
And then offhanded, I said, don't pop too early. It was a joke. And so the name of the song is actually Love Sometimes. But yeah, that one was just like, you know what? I wanted to post a clip, and I hadn't posted a live clip in a while, so I put that one on there just to, kind of give people a sense of me and at a show, because most of the other videos are lyric videos, or they're, a couple videos of me at home. So that one was just, I wanted people to see me kind of, you know what I mean, at a show,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. So, what song inspired you the most?
What song?
What song inspired you the most?
Whew. I can't say I have an answer for that. Only because, I go through a lot of different phases. And so every couple of years, I seem to be kind of have a new favorite artist or a different thing I'm into. So I can't pinpoint one song as being the most important song to me. But, there have been important artists. The Beatles were very important to me as a kid, and kind of helped shape my love of melody and pop music. And so when you read my bio, some of those artists are the ones that have impacted me in a lot of different ways. Death Cab For Cutie, when I was younger, Weezer, 9 Inch Nails. There's been certain artists that have been like helped shape my taste and style.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, my goal is to always just be my own person. So I never want to sound like somebody else. But, undoubtedly, like, there have been certain artists that have like just made a big impact on me, but I can't say that I want to imitate them. I try my hardest to be my own person the best I can.
All right, man. So let me ask you this, man. You got a YouTube channel. Is there anything that the audience can expect, or your fans at that, like music video wise? Like, is there anything that you might have a project that's already in the vault right now that you're probably not going to release until next year? I don't know.
Yeah, right. Well, there is. I can't give a time frame about when this will come out, but I have a couple more music videos in the works, and this is going to take a long. I'm going to release the album early next year, but eventually, my goal, and this is going to take a while. This is going to take many, 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 many months. But what I want to do is have a visual album playlist on YouTube.
Oh,
And so it's going to be a series of lyric videos and animated music videos. So there's a couple animated music videos that I'm going to be doing that will have their own stories. So I can't say too much about that yet. But eventually, the album is 13 tracks. Eventually, it'll be 13, different kinds of videos, and they'll all be kind of connected.
wow.
So that will definitely be happening next year, and then I'm going to be starting to do TikTok content.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm going to start doing TikTok content, and that's going to be a different thing. I'm going to be doing like improvised kind of songs to strangers on the street. So that's going to be more fun and more kind of kind of quirky. And then I also have a couple singles after the album that I'll be releasing probably at the end of next year. So yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in the works. So there's definitely there, and I would say Instagram and YouTube are the best places right now to keep up with me. But and I do play shows here in Phoenix in the Valley as well. So I got one in a couple of weeks, and in Queen Creek and things like that. So, it's always ongoing. You know what I mean? There's a lot, but it's going to take some time.
All right, man. So let me ask you this, man. You played over 100+ venues, man. Um, how did you start getting involved in this? Like, when people are starting to notice you, and I'm not sure if you have your own manager or your own promoter that goes out and gets you on these stages, but um, what was one of your favorite times playing at a show?
Mm. Um, yeah, there's a lot of stories that have stayed with me over the years. It's hard to pick one. Um, you know, um,
You
yeah,
got two
yeah,
stories?
sure, yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, so most of the venues I've played at, I've played a lot of venues, but most of them have been like bars or restaurants here in town. And so it's a good way to make some money as a musician, because unfortunately most original shows where you play your own music don't really pay much. So if you want to make money, really covers are the way to make money. And so I did years and years and years of just mostly cover gigs at a lot of bars and restaurants, some dive bars, some country clubs, hotels, all kinds of gigs. But I remember I was playing at a wine bar in Scottsdale, and it was kind of a smaller place, but it was just I was not breaking through with the crowd. The crowd was kind of ignoring me, and I would try to talk to them, and I wasn't getting any reaction. And so eventually, I was like, how can I get these guys? So actually, I played Piano Man by Billy Joel, and the whole place started singing along, and the whole place was singing the chorus and the la da 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 part. And right after that, everybody came alive, and everybody started to like really get into it. And after I played that song, I said, hey, you guys want to hear one of my songs? And this table of a couple of guys, they were like, absolutely, yeah, let's hear it. And so I taught them the chorus to one of my songs, and then And then I played that and I got them to sing along again. And then after I played that song, one of the guys was like, just play your own shit, play your stuff, And for the rest of the show, I only played originals. So, that was kind of a cool one because it started out where I was like, I don't think I'm going to, I think I'm just going to be a Chuck E. Cheese robot, for this gig. Sometimes you can't break through and sometimes the audience wants you in the background. And so this one was cool because I was able to connect with them and then they were able to see me as an artist. So that was a great one. And the other one I would say is a show. There's a lot of them. I would say the first show I ever played that let me know that I was supposed to do this and that I was in the right place at being an artist and being a songwriter. I played a show in Cave Creek, Arizona, at a place called Janie's, and I'm playing there again actually in a couple of weeks. But they had a songwriter showcase where it was me and two other songwriters, a good friend of mine, Aaron Howard, and this other songwriter, Carrie Lynn. And they're both tremendous musicians. And I respect the hell out of them, but I had really prepared stories for my songs. And when I started telling these stories before each song, we would all take turns playing. Like, it was quiet, like nobody was saying a word and everybody was kind of glued into the story. And it was the first time in my life where I'm like, oh, okay, in the right environment, when people have an open mind and an open heart, people can really get into what I'm doing. And so it was like, this is probably, 8 or 9 years ago now, maybe 8 years ago. But it was a formative moment because playing at bars and covers and playing, kind of rowdy crowds, dive bars, Irish pubs, like, it's really hard for people to take you seriously because they're interested in partying and have a good time. And this was the first time where I was able to tell like really personal, heartfelt stories, and everybody was kind of lasered in on it, and they were really connecting to it. And I would say that was a moment, for me that I kind of knew like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, because I used to do comedy, when I'm in my early 20s, and I used to really joke around a lot and kind of fuck with people. And I still have a part of me that has that personality. But for me, like, comedy and having a good time is great. But I found with my own experience is that, those memories kind of go away over time, where people don't really remember the jokes that you say, or they don't really remember all of the funny stuff. But if you have something that's emotional and personal and intimate, and people connect to it, they never forget it, And so for me, it was a tough choice because there was a lot of people that were like, why don't you do comedy anymore? You're so good at it or whatever. And it was just like, well, I don't need to do it because I'm good at it. I want to be an artist because even if there's less people that want to hear it, it means more, and so, yeah, maybe there's less people that want to go deep or talk about something that's sad or personal or dark. But when you do, and people actually see and hear me, and then they connect to it on their own level, that's such a more meaningful relationship than, oh, that guy's a funny dude, So so for me, that was a big moment in like deciding, who I am and going forward, so
All right,
yeah.
man. Sounds dope. All right, man. So let me ask you this, man. From doing venues, man, have you ever thought about like, doing like maybe you have, I'm not sure, but ever going on Instagram Live and showing you live performing for your fans that are tuned in with you on your Instagram page or any live streaming platform?
Not at the moment. You know, I yeah, I know that there's a lot of musicians and artists that are really good at that kind of thing,
Yeah.
and yeah, I haven't really cracked that code yet because I'm not against it, and there have been times in the past where I've uploaded a full show.
Oh,
You
really?
know, yeah, like I've done it on Facebook and other things where I've uploaded a full show. Like when I played at Last Exit Live, opening up for Rusted Root, and I played with a drummer, and he brought a camera and recorded it, and he had a little tripod. So I did post that, and so there are moments where I'll record it and post it, but um, I don't know. For the thing I struggle with, to me, and this is probably going to sound stupid, but um, there's such an emphasis nowadays on content, having content every day, that I kind of find it exhausting.
Okay.
And I would I would rather be in a camp where if I release something, people are excited about it because
Yeah.
they know it's going to be good, you know. And so I want to have that reputation over time as somebody that has quality. Um, because if I was just doing vlogs every day, hey guys, checking in, I think a lot of people would tune out because they wouldn't know when anything serious is coming. So I'm kind of old school in that way. So like I said, I am working on TikTok and other things like that, having more content. But as far as my music goes, like I want each release to be meaningful. And so, I will say in future, whenever I have like future shows, like an album release party or something like that, I'll definitely be recording a lot of it. But I don't, yeah, I don't want to like overwhelm people, but also at the same time, like other people that I've seen that I know personally in the Valley, they have a good mind for it, and they're really good at it. So I don't think I have that skill set yet either. So
All right, man. It's in the works. All right.
it
So, all right,
works. Yeah.
man.
What's
Yeah.
that?
I said
Yeah.
it's in the works, man.
Yeah. Eventually. Yeah. Eventually.
All right, man. So, Gork, I need to ask you this, man. I'm not sure if, well, you're an individual pop artist, but I'm saying, maybe in the future, maybe next year, maybe the year after that, will there be maybe a collaboration that you want to work with? Or let me ask you this: dead or alive, if there's any artists you would work with, dead or alive.
Mm. Um, whew. I mean, if there was no obstacles, there's so many artists I would like to work with. But yeah, there's so many. Paul McCartney is a good one. You know, Father John Misty or Randy Newman or Ben Gibbard. There's a lot of people, and I will say, like, on my album
Uh huh.
that hasn't been released yet, I wrote and produced everything, but there's 22 people involved with it. So there's a handful of harmony singers, like one of the singers, Sydney Sprague, she's been opening up for, Jimmy Eat World and Dashboard Confessional. And she's been blowing up, so I got to work with her before she blew up. And there's other people in town, that artists I admire that I've gotten to work with. It's on my music, my songs, but they've been contributing in either like vocals or guitar or piano. My friend Jared Michael does a lot of the keyboard work, and other singers, Aaron Howard, Cameron Degurski, Ashley Creighton. So locally in town, I've gotten to collaborate with some people. Um, but yeah, I'm not against collaborating with anybody. I just for me, I just do what I do and then see what happens.
Right.
So I'll always be a solo artist, but I'm down to go where the wind
That's
takes me too.
that's dope, man. I love to hear that. All right, man. So let me ask you this: if you could give any advice to the youth, what would it be?
Young people,
Yeah.
um, my advice is it might sound corny, but to embrace failure. So is that if you don't do something, if you don't take a risk and put yourself out there because you're afraid of looking cringe or you're afraid of getting a bad reaction, then you have the wrong mentality, because every single person that's ever done anything good or great has faced lots of rejection. If you want to get anywhere in life, you're gonna have people that are mean to you. You're gonna have people that doubt you, that don't believe in you, that think you suck or whatever. And you have to learn how to deal with that, and you have to overcome that. So every time you fail and something happens where you play a show and it doesn't go well, or nobody shows up, or bad things happen, that's part of the plan. That's how you get there, you know. And every failure is going to move you closer to the place you need to be. It's just like playing a video game, you know. It's like when you come and you get the final boss of the level, a lot of the time you're going to have to fail at that level 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and then you figure out how to beat the boss, you know.
Man.
But until you do that, and until you figure that out, you got to fail and fail and fail and fail. So failing is a good thing. That's my advice, you know.
Man, dope advice, man. All right, man. So let me ask you this, man. Favorite lyric in a song you ever wrote?
Whew. Wow, that question is a good question. That would change on a daily basis, but I would say there's a song on the album called Discord that's got a bridge with a lyric I really, really like. And it says, "There's discord amongst the angels. There's a mutiny against eternity that brought this down to a whole new level. The voice of reason committed treason against my state of mind. There's been turmoil on domestic soil." And it's, what's the line? Flawed design. It's been turmoil on domestic soil, and it's based in flawed design. But anyways, there's a whole lyrical section that I really like. That's about kind of losing your sanity and about kind of falling apart. But there's a lot of ones for different reasons that have meaning to me. But I would pick that song right now. You know.
All right, man. All right, man. So let me ask you this, man. Would you ever think, or would if the opportunity presented itself, would you go out of your genre?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm an indie pop guy. So indie pop to me, even itself, is kind of a vague genre because lots of things can be indie and lots of things can be pop. So that's kind of a generic term. But even with myself, like, you know, I've written some songs that have a little bit of a country flavor, and I've written songs that are more rock. So I feel like my influences kind of change over time. You know, I don't know that I'll always have something in me that's kind of indie, but even in my life so far, like I've had different influences from different genres. So I think it'll always be that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
I love to hear that, man. All right, man. So let me ask you this. What are your goals? Do you have any end goals that you're trying to accomplish before the end of 2022?
For this year, not really. My goal is just to just to kind of be ready, just to get my shit in order. But I would say my main goal for the next couple years is I want to get a good publicist and a good agent. And so that's my big goal. So, you know, I'll say that since last June of 2021, I had about 600 Instagram followers, and now it's about 2,600. So it's 2,000 followers in a little over a year. So I want to keep that trend of getting that base to grow. And so what I've been doing is, like, you know, just here in town, kind of been going out and kind of interacting with people, kind of, you know, in public crowded areas, in the street, wherever I can get access to a lot of people, and then making those connections. So my following has been growing because of that one-on-one interaction stuff. And so the next piece of the pie for me is, like, once I can get some good industry connections with people that are publicists or whatever, they can pipe me into a bigger platform.
Man.
Yeah. And so I'll be honest, like I'm I'm not smart at social media. I'm not as savvy as a lot of people are. I don't pretend to be, but I want to get to a place where I can hire people and pay people to run that shit for me.
Right.
You know?
Right,
Yeah.
man.
So that's my.
That's dope.
You know.
All right, man. So, what is the best advice anyone has given you?
Mm. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. Which is kind of surprising. I'm surprised no one's ever asked me that. I don't know. I don't know. You know, back in like 2015, in that era, I was making the jump to full-time musician without a day job. And so I sought out a bunch of different people here in town about trying to get advice about what to do. And so, I got a mix of advice, and I had a few people that actually weren't nice to me at all. But yeah, I don't know. I think what more than the advice, what kind of inspired me is watching other people's work ethic. So I can't pinpoint it into words of anything someone said to me, but Aaron Howard, Blaine Long, those are a couple of guys that um, inspired me because I just in knowing them saw their work ethic and how hard they worked and how seriously they took the craft and the performance. And so, Blaine gave me some good advice where he said, whatever gig you play, no matter how the gig goes, give a good tip to the servers and stuff, and that was good advice because it was basically him saying like, you want the staff to like you, and you want to be in good relationship with the venue, so even if it's a shit gig, even if you don't make a lot of money, go out of your way to tip them because that'll put you in good light, and my friend Aaron Howard, he's somebody that's a great songwriter, and he's been doing this hustle where he's trying to, he's playing gigs, but he's also trying to build a following and a fan base and trying to make money at the same time, and it's so difficult. And so I watched him like kind of get into this circuit where he was playing a lot of house parties and he was making a lot of money at these really kind of nice house parties. And so, just being his friend and seeing how he always kind of adapted his approach to whatever was working, like it's those things. It's just like, okay, it's like, to me, what I saw is they role modeled success, not in that their success was based on a hack or anything like that. It was just, pay attention, work hard, and eventually it'll come back to you. But you just have to stay persistent. So I think for me, my path is going to be different than anybody else's. So I don't think there's perfect advice, but it's just about, like I said, the work ethic. And so seeing the work ethic in other musicians that I admired, that's what inspired me,
Wow. All right, man. So let me ask you this. How is your music going to evolve from here, and what should the fans look out in 2023?
Ooh. Well, I don't know how it's going to evolve. I can't say that because it's always evolving in interesting different ways, like it I started writing songs, almost 20 years ago. And so in that time, it's gone different places I didn't expect. But I will say the album is I'll say this, like the album is a mix of genres. So it's a little bit folk music, it's a little bit alternative. So there's influences there that it got Radiohead, they got Johnny Cash. And so the album starts kind of really folky and folk pop, and then it gets towards the end, it gets darker and it gets more ambient, and it's a little more vibey. And then I'd say that the stuff I'm working on for singles, after the album, this will be a year plus away, that will be, I think, more electronic, a little more electronic drums and more groove driven. So I think the stuff I'm preparing for after the album will not necessarily be as guitar focused. It'll be more drum beat focused and still have pop hooks and things like that. So I think that's maybe what they can expect. But after that, who knows? Like wherever the wind blows, you know what I mean? So whatever's exciting. Yeah.
All right, man. Let me ask you this, man. You want to play some, and then we'll leave it out with special shout outs?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Let's go, man.
Give me a second.
First time ever, man. First time ever.
Give me a second.
All right.
Shout out to Nicolas Cage over there.
Man, shout out to Nicolas Cage, man. You already know. Let's go.
My friend bought me that as a joke. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make Nicolas Cage my guardian angel today.
Let's go, man.
Well, I'm going to move this back a little bit. Okay. Well, this is a Gork song. This is it's called Down the Line.
Down the line.
Now, here we go. Hanging by a thread on a little string. I do not believe this can carry me, and I feel it tearing at the seams down the line. I'll be fine down the line. I'll be alright. When you feel the snap, when you hear the crack, once the knots untie, you won't stand a chance. And I feel it tearing at the seams down the line. I'll be fine down the line. I'll be alright. Time is never on your side. It doesn't have you in mind. Don't know you anymore. Well, hear your plea. Your prayers and calls. Just what you want now. So what did you do? Did you choose? It's time. Time is never on our side. Since you have us in mind, don't know what's in on. Well, here I'll play. Our prayers and calls. So what did you do? Did you do?
Yeah.
I feel them tearing at the seams down the line. I'll be fine down the line. I'll be alright.
Let's go. Everybody give it up for Gork Music. You already know what it is, man. Thank you, man. That
Thank you
performance,
so much.
man. First time ever on this podcast. So man, I really appreciate that. But yeah, man, let's go on to your special shout outs. And yeah, man, the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, no, it's a real privilege to be on. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'll keep it short, but just thank you to everybody that's supported and I'll like just to reiterate some names for anybody that wants to support some great artists here in the Valley. Eric Ramsey, The Girl from the Moon, Aaron Howard, Blaine Long. There's a great scene here, and yeah, I'm just getting started really with my journey. I feel like so. Stay posted.
All right, man. Hey, so final words, man. Is there anything that you want to let the audience know and your fans know to keep a lookout on? And after that, man, can you plug in all your social media outlets so everyone can go find you and find your music?
Yes, absolutely. Well, Instagram, it's Andrew Gork, Gork. And then YouTube, you can find me Gork Music. And in my Instagram bio, you can find there's a link that's got, my Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, and all that other stuff. TikTok, I haven't posted yet, but it's called Gork on the Street. I have created an account, but there haven't been any posts yet. And my catchphrase I like to say for my fans is put a Gork in it. So,
Yeah.
If you want to keep the brand alive, just hashtag put a Gork in it. That's all I got to say.
All right, man. Hey, man, thank you for giving us this opportunity to present you and your music, man. Thank you for the live performance. And the links will be in the description down below, ladies and gentlemen. So don't forget to hit that sub button. Don't forget to hit that like button and comment down below and let me know what your favorite part of the performance was. All right. So thank you, Gork Music, for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it, man. And till next time, man. I hope to see you maybe next year, man. We'll have you back on. Maybe we can talk about the album next time. And man, it was a pleasure meeting with you, man. And man, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Best to you and yours.